The crash in the snow. The sky above the ice planet was dark. Not because it was night. This world had no real night or day. Just cold. Just endless snowstorms and silence. And now, a fireball streaked through the clouds. A small human shuttle, spinning out of control, screamed across the frozen sky. Inside it, Eli Trent gritted his teeth and held tight to the seat as red lights blinked across every panel. The voice of the ship's AI kept repeating, "Critical failure. Engines offline. Prepare for impact." Eli muttered under his breath, "Yeah, no kidding." The shuttle crashed hard into a snowbank, metal twisting and groaning. Ice flew into the air. For a long moment, everything was still. Then the hatch opened. Smoke drifted out. Eli crawled out slowly, holding his side. His left arm was cut. His leg was sore. But he was alive. He looked around. White everywhere. Mountains, wind, ice, and no one coming to help. He pulled out his comlink. No signal, just static. His shuttle was too far from base. The beacon was too weak, and the storm was getting worse. He grabbed a pack from the wreckage and started walking. After an hour, Eli found shelter in a rock cave half buried in snow. It wasn't warm, but it was dry and blocked the wind. He dropped his bag, built a small heater with emergency parts, and collapsed on the ground. His breath fogged the air. He looked at the heater. Only 6 hours of power. If no one found him by then? He shook his head. No. Someone will come. But someone was already watching. On the cliff above the cave, a figure crouched low, hidden under a black hood. 4 glowing eyes watched him. Claws dug gently into the snow. She didn't move. She didn't speak. But she was curious. Her name was Jari. She had lived on this frozen world for years, hiding from hunters, bounty seekers, and scientists. Her people had abandoned her long ago, left her behind because of what she looked like, too different, too dangerous, too ugly. Her body was strong, her skin covered in light fur, her claws sharp, her eyes bright, and no one ever saw her without screaming. Until now. This human didn't know she was there, and somehow that made her curious. That night, Eli sat by the heater, rubbing his hands. The storm outside grew louder. He checked the comm again. Still dead. He leaned back against the cave wall, eyes heavy. Then he heard something, a soft crunch of snow. His hand moved to his sidearm. Another sound. A shadow moved at the edge of the cave entrance. "Who's there?" he called. Silence. Eli stood up, weak but alert. "I'm armed. Don't try anything." Still nothing. Then slowly, a voice came from the shadows. Soft. Low. Not human. "I don't want your food. I don't want your ship. I just want to not be cold." Eli blinked. "What?" A figure stepped into the light, tall, hooded, wrapped in heavy cloth. But the face, he saw a glint of sharp teeth, long fingers, claws, and 4 glowing eyes. She stepped closer and said, "You're not screaming." Eli stared, breathing hard, but didn't reach for his weapon. "You're not attacking." Jari tilted her head. "Should I?" He slowly shook his head. "Not unless you plan to." "I don't." "Then, come in." Jari paused, surprised. Every other creature she had met in the galaxy either ran or tried to kill her. This one just offered her warmth. She stepped closer. The heater glowed between them. She sat near the edge of the light. He sat across from her. They didn't speak for a long time. Finally, Eli broke the silence. "Name's Eli, human recon pilot." Jari hesitated, then said quietly, "I'm Jari, not human." Eli gave a tired smile. "Yeah, I noticed." The storm howled outside. Inside the cave, 2 strangers, once enemies by chance, shared the same heat, the same silence, and the same need to survive. Neither of them knew it yet. But this cold, lonely planet was about to become the place they both stopped running. She looks like a monster. The cave was quiet except for the soft buzz of the heater. Jari sat near the wall, her back straight, her hood still covering most of her face. Her claws tapped lightly on the stone floor, slow, careful. Eli sat opposite her, arms crossed, eyes half open but alert. Neither of them had slept. He had offered warmth. She had accepted, but that didn't mean she trusted him. And she was sure he didn't trust her, not yet. Outside, the storm screamed across the frozen cliffs. Inside, Eli finally broke the silence. "You're not like the other aliens I've seen." Jari didn't answer. He leaned forward slightly. "Where are you from?" She turned her glowing eyes toward him. "I'm not sure anymore." Eli blinked. "What does that mean?" Jari stared at the small flames inside the heater. "My planet cast me out when I was 14. Too tall, too many eyes, wrong color, wrong voice. Everything about me. Wrong." Eli frowned. "You were a kid. Didn't matter." She slowly lifted her hood just a little, not all the way, just enough for Eli to see her mouth. Sharp, long, jagged teeth, a jaw that could tear through metal. She watched for his reaction. Eli didn't flinch. He simply said, "That looks painful." She blinked, surprised. "You're not scared?" "I've seen uglier mouths," he replied, smiling slightly. "Ever meet a Terran sand eel?" Jari tilted her head. "Is that a joke?" Eli nodded. "A very bad one." She didn't laugh, but her hand relaxed, and after a long pause, she pulled the hood back farther. All the way. Her full face came into view. 4 golden eyes, deep and glowing. Thick fur along her jaw and neck. A sharp bone crest across her forehead. Not ugly. Not beautiful. Just different. She had never shown it to anyone without them gasping or screaming or reaching for a weapon. Eli didn't gasp. He didn't speak at all. He just looked. Calm, respectful. After a while, he said, "You look strong." Jari blinked again. "Strong?" "Yeah," he said. "Like you've survived everything thrown at you." She leaned back, clearly confused. "That's not what I expected." "What did you expect?" Eli asked. Her voice was quiet now. "Small. I thought you'd shoot me." The wind howled again. Jari looked at her claws. "Everyone fears what they don't understand," she said. Eli nodded. "That's true." Then he looked at her directly. "But maybe it's time they start trying to understand." She stared at him, long, hard, searching. Then slowly she said, "You're either the kindest person I've ever met," a pause, "or the dumbest." Eli smirked. "I get that a lot." They shared the food packs from Eli's supply kit. Jari sniffed. "One smells like plastic. Tastes like it too," Eli said, "but it keeps you alive." She took a bite and made a face. "That's disgusting. Better than snow." She swallowed. "Barely." Later, Eli's hand shook from the cold. The heater was dying. He rubbed his arms and teeth chattered. Jari watched in silence. Then, without speaking, she moved beside him. He stiffened. She reached out, slowly, and placed her arm around his shoulders. Her body heat was stronger than his heater. His eyes widened. "You're really warm." Jari's voice was a whisper. "My people are built for ice." He leaned into her slightly, exhausted. "Thanks." She looked down at him, confused. No fear, no hesitation, no flinch. She had touched someone without being pushed away. She had shared space with a human, and he had thanked her. Her throat tightened. Something warm, something old, moved inside her chest. And for the first time in years, Jari whispered, "You don't think I'm a monster, do you?" Eli was already half asleep, his head resting lightly against her shoulder. "No," he murmured. "You're the one keeping me alive." Outside, the storm began to quiet. But inside the cave, something even more powerful began. Trust. Far above the planet, a ship picked up a faint life signal. A mercenary crew tracked it silently. Inside, their leader watched Jari's old ID flicker across the screen. Status: mutant, exile, bounty, active. He smiled. She's still alive. And she's not alone. He tapped the screen. Prep the hunter squad. Let's go monster hunting. Trapped together. The wind howled like a wild animal outside the cave. Snow blew sideways in thick white walls. Even the mountains disappeared behind the storm. Eli stared out from the cave's edge, wrapped in a survival blanket. His breath came in short, cloudy bursts. Jari crouched beside the dying heater, her glowing eyes watching the flames flicker lower and lower. She didn't say anything. She didn't have to. They both knew the truth. They were trapped, and no one was coming. 3 hours ago, the heater blinked red. Now it was barely warm. Eli's hands shook, fingers turning pale. Jari had already offered to help. Her body ran hotter than most species, but he had politely refused. Still got time, he had said. But that time was running out. The wind screamed louder. Jari stood, walked to the mouth of the cave and pulled down a thick sheet of snow and ice. She packed it into the entrance until only a small gap remained for air. The light dimmed. The silence inside grew heavier. She returned to Eli, who now sat hunched over, lips blue. He forced a weak smile. Looks like you win the warmest person in the cave award. She stared. This isn't funny, Eli coughed. Humans joke when we're freezing to death. It's tradition. Jari sat beside him. He was getting worse. Too fast. She had no more time to wait. Without a word, she lifted the blanket and gently pulled him closer to her side. He didn't fight it. Couldn't. His body slumped into her warmth like a dropped stone. She wrapped her arms around him, slowly, carefully. Her claws retracted. Her heart beat faster. He was so cold, but she was burning inside, nervous. She had never held someone like this. For a while, there was only the sound of his breathing. Then softly, Eli whispered, "You smell like snow and lightning." She blinked. I don't know what that means. It's a compliment. Jari shifted slightly, letting his head rest against her chest. He was still shivering, so she did the one thing she had never done for anyone. She started humming. A low, soft sound from her throat like a song made of wind and sleep. Eli's breath slowed. He relaxed. And finally, he slept. Jari stayed awake, holding him, staring at the quiet flames, and thinking. She thought about all the people who had called her a monster, about the scientist who locked her in a cage, about the bounty hunter who laughed while shooting at her feet. And now, here was this human. He had no weapon, no orders, just a broken shuttle and a tired heart. And still, he made space for her, trusted her. Even now, while vulnerable and half-frozen, he was curled against her side, breathing calmly. She whispered, "You should have been afraid." But part of her was glad he wasn't. The storm outside raged for 2 full days. They barely ate, barely moved. But they survived. On the 3rd day, the wind finally died. The sun peeked through the clouds, and for the first time since the crash, the sky was blue. Eli woke slowly, blinking against the pale light. He felt warm, safe. Then he realized where he was. His head resting against Jari's shoulder, her claws wrapped protectively around him, his cheeks flushed slightly. "Morning," he mumbled. She looked down. "You slept for a long time. Thanks for not letting me turn into a popsicle." She tilted her head. "Popsicle? Never mind." He sat up slowly, rubbing his eyes, then paused. "I didn't drool on you, did I?" Jari narrowed her eyes. "No." "Good," he said, trying to keep the human image strong. She stared at him for a long moment. Then, very softly, she made a sound. A soft huff through her nose. Eli stared. Was that a laugh? She looked away quickly. No. He grinned. It was. She stood. We need to move. He chuckled. Definitely a laugh. They stepped outside into the new snow. Everything was bright, calm, quiet, but something felt off. Jari froze. Her eyes scanned the sky. What is it? Eli asked. She pointed to the ridge. Tracks. Not theirs. Fresh and heavy. She growled low in her throat. They found us. Eli frowned. Who? Jari looked at him, face suddenly serious. Hunters. Not from your people. From mine. He tightened his grip on his coat. What do they want? She lowered her voice. They want me dead. The first time she laughed. They walked through the snow in silence. Jari moved fast, her 4 glowing eyes scanning the white cliffs. She didn't speak much, not since they saw the tracks. Eli followed her, limping a little. His injuries still hurt. The cold bit through his jacket. But it wasn't the pain that bothered him. It was the way Jari's body had stiffened, the way her voice changed when she said, They want me dead. They reached a cave tucked into a cliffside, smaller than before, but dry. Jari checked it 3 times before they entered. Eli dropped his gear and sat on a flat rock. You okay? He asked. She didn't answer. She just stared at the snow. Finally, she said, They used to be my clan. Eli blinked. The hunters. She nodded slowly. I was born different, taller, stronger, faster. The elders said I was unnatural. They said I brought shame to the tribe. I was removed. Eli frowned. Removed? Her voice was quiet. Thrown into the snow. He looked at her carefully. And now they're hunting you? She turned to him, face cold. Because I survived, and because I'm not hiding anymore. A long silence followed. Then Eli reached into his bag and pulled out a small scratched device. A black rectangle, old tech. He pressed a button. It buzzed weakly, and then started playing something. Music. Soft, strange, earthly. Jari turned, confused. What is that? Eli smiled faintly. Something humans do when we're sad or scared or just tired of thinking. She tilted her head. The melody was slow, simple, but peaceful. She listened for a minute, eyes narrowing. What is it for? He chuckled. For nothing. That's the point, it's just music. She didn't move, but her claws stopped tapping. She looked thoughtful. Then, her head began to sway, just a little. Eli saw it, and grinned. Oh no, he said, teasing. I think you're enjoying this. Jari stiffened. No, admit it, Eli said, smiling. It's catchy. I do not dance. You just moved. I was checking my footing. Eli laughed. Jari frowned, but her fangs were showing, not in anger, in amusement. And then it happened. Just a small sound, a short huff from her throat, a flick of the shoulder, a sharp exhale that almost sounded like a cough. But it wasn't. Eli froze. Was that a laugh? Jari turned away. No. He leaned closer. Jari, that was a laugh. I choked on my breath. Eli shook his head, grinning. Nope. That was a laugh. First contact confirmed. She stared at him for a long time, then rolled her eyes. You're annoying. And you're secretly hilarious, Eli said. The music ended. The cave went quiet again, but something had changed. Jari's shoulders were more relaxed. Her claws had retracted, for the first time since they met. She looked at ease. Eli leaned back and looked at the ceiling. Back home, he said. I was training to be a drop pilot. I never thought I'd end up freezing on an alien snowball talking to a 4-eyed hunter girl with claws. Jari replied. Back home, I thought all humans were soft, loud, and useless. Eli raised an eyebrow. She shrugged. You're only 1/3 of that, he smirked. Which third? She didn't answer. Then she asked something unexpected. Why haven't you called for your people? He sighed. Tried. Twice. Got static. Maybe after the storm, the signal's stronger now. But I'm not in a rush. She narrowed her eyes. Why? He looked at her. Because the last few days I've felt more alive than I have in months. I was just surviving before. Now I'm learning. Learning what? That monsters don't always live in caves, he said. Sometimes, he added, they're the ones hiding from the world, not attacking it. Jari said nothing, but her heart felt heavier and warmer. Suddenly, a loud beep broke the silence. Eli grabbed the comm from his pack. The light was green. His signal was through. Someone was listening. He stared at it. Jari stood up fast. Are you calling them now? He looked at her, hesitated, then said, Not yet. She frowned. Why? Eli stood up. You've spent your whole life running, right? She nodded slowly. Then maybe you deserve to stop. He looked at the screen again, paused, then shut the comm off. Outside, in the sky above, a ship moved through the clouds. A mercenary vessel. Inside, a bounty hunter watched a glowing screen showing heat signatures in the snow. He tapped one. Target confirmed. Jari. Class, genetic outcast. Reward, alive or dead. He smiled and whispered, Let's see if the human pet can save her. The hunters. The snow was quiet again. Too quiet. Eli sat by the fire poking at a packet of ration cubes, but he wasn't hungry. Jari stood at the cave mouth, unmoving, her 4 eyes fixed on the open sky. She had sensed it first. Something was wrong. Movement in the clouds, she whispered. Eli stood alert. How many? She didn't blink. At least 3 ships, small, fast, no trade markings. Eli's stomach turned. Mercenaries. Jari nodded. They found me. Within minutes, the sky cracked open. 3 black ships flew low, silent and fast. No lights, no warnings. They landed just over the ridge. Eli grabbed his rifle. Jari didn't move. He looked at her. We can run. She shook her head slowly. They'll track us. Then we fight. Jari's eyes narrowed. You're human. This isn't your fight. He stepped in front of her. I shared your cave. You shared your warmth. Now we share the fight. The first shot came before the ships had cooled. A laser blast hit the cave wall, sending snow and dust flying. Eli pulled Jari down behind a rock. 3 on foot. 1 with a plasma cutter, flanking from both sides. Jari whispered, They want to take me alive, but they don't care if I lose pieces. Eli's face went cold. Not happening. He peeked around the edge and fired a short burst, forcing 1 hunter back behind cover. Jari moved with inhuman speed, circling wide, silent on the snow. They were outnumbered, outgunned, but not outmatched. Jari jumped one of the hunters from behind, slamming him into the snow, claws at his throat. He stared up at her. You think hiding with a human makes you safe, freak? Jari's hand trembled. She didn't strike. She didn't speak. Eli called out from behind a boulder. Jari, you're not them. Remember? She growled low, but released the hunter, knocking him out instead. The second attacker came at Eli with a blade. He dodged left, rolled and fired once. The blast hit armor, but dropped the man cold. Eli panted, bleeding from his arm. Jari returned to cover. You're injured. Only a scratch. That was not a scratch. I'm trying to sound tough. She stared. You sound like you need bandages. More footsteps, another hunter. But this one wasn't masked. He stepped into view, helmet off, smiling. Tall, pale, black armor with blood-red markings. Hello, Jari, he said. She froze. Vrak. The mercenaries. Smile widened. You remember? Good. Eli aimed his rifle. Vrak didn't flinch. I'm not here to kill her, he said. Just to collect her, Eli spat. Like hell. Vrak turned to him. Human. This isn't your concern. Walk away. We'll say you were a hostage. Eli's eyes narrowed. I'm not walking away from my friend. Jari stepped forward slowly. Vrak, you were there. When they left me in the snow. You watched. He tilted his head. I did worse than watch. I laughed. Eli raised his rifle. Vrak moved faster than expected. He fired first. The shot hit Eli in the side. He dropped. Jari screamed. Vrak stepped forward, aiming at Eli's head, but Jari was already moving. She leapt like a beast, claws extended, striking, with all her strength. Vrak went down hard. She pinned him, her face inches from his. He grinned through blood. Do it! Be the monster! She raised her hand, claws shaking, then stopped. She looked back at Eli, bleeding, but conscious. He whispered, Don't, that's not you. Jari turned back and punched Vrak in the jaw, hard enough to knock him out cold. The other mercs fled when they saw their leader fall. Within minutes, the snow was quiet again. Only 2 figures remained in the broken cave. Jari dragged Eli to the heater, pressed snow to his wound, and sat beside him. He gave a weak smile. Still think I'm brave? She looked at him. No. I think you're stupid. He chuckled, wincing. That's fair. Later, she sat beside him while he slept, guarding him in silence. And when he woke, she said softly, They came for a monster. He looked into her eyes, and they left scared of a protector. Far above, a patrol ship picked up the emergency signal from the mercenaries' broken gear. Earth Command finally got a ping from Eli's tracker. A captain raised an eyebrow. Alive, injured, and not alone. They sent a rescue unit, not to recover a soldier, but to meet someone unexpected. When the world watched her face, the human rescue ship came through the clouds like a silver blade cutting the sky. It was fast, clean, and quiet, built for medical extractions, not war. Inside the ship, medics and soldiers prepared. Most thought they were picking up a wounded scout. But the moment the ship landed near the snowy cliffs, everything changed. The first soldier to exit the shuttle froze in place. His helmet scanned the area. One human life form, injured, and next to him, a tall creature with glowing golden eyes, clawed hands, and sharp teeth. Jari stood beside Eli, her arm around him, holding him steady. The soldier raised his weapon. Eli shouted, voice weak but firm, She's not the enemy. Within seconds, more troops surrounded them. Jari didn't move. She didn't fight. She didn't run. She simply placed her claws flat on the snow and raised her hands slowly. Eli pushed forward. She saved me. She protected me. She bled for me. If you shoot her... He looked the commander in the eye. You'll have to go through me first. The medical officer stepped forward cautiously. Sir, we're under orders to secure unknown alien contacts. She's not in our database. Eli's voice cracked. Then update your database. From the shuttle, one of the comm officers was already recording everything. The feed was being transmitted, first to Earth Command, then to Union satellites, then across the galaxy. People watched in silence. On their screens, they saw Jari, not attacking, not roaring, just standing there, calm, protective. One human leaning against her for support. One so-called monster keeping him alive. News anchors began to speak. Social feeds exploded. Unregistered alien saves human soldier. Are we the monsters? She's not what they told us. Jari slowly helped Eli into the shuttle. No cuffs, no weapons, just hands and eyes and trust. Inside, a medic asked Eli, "What is she?" Replied without hesitation, "She's my friend." The medic looked at Jari, unsure. Jari looked back, silent, still. She didn't expect thanks. She just wanted to leave alive. The shuttle flew upward, breaking through the clouds as they left. The surface. Jari saw the blue curve of a nearby planet. She had never seen a home from above before. Not like this. Not one where someone wanted her. A day later, Eli sat in a medical bay, his side bandaged, his vitals stable. Jari sat on the other side of the room under watch but not locked up. The general of the Earth Frontier Forces walked in. She stared at Jari for a long time, then turned to Eli. Explain. He told her everything, how he crashed, how she found him, how she didn't run, how she saved him twice, and how she chose not to kill, even when she had the chance. The general folded her arms. She's still unregistered. Eli looked up. Then, register her. She's not human. She's better than half the humans I've served with. Later that evening, Jari stood before a group of human leaders, diplomats, security officers, and watchers from 5 other species. They all stared. She didn't shake, didn't beg. She simply said, "I was told my face would scare you. But I stood in the fire and your soldier didn't run. He could have feared me. He chose not to. So now I stand here, not as a threat, but as a survivor." The room was silent. Then a diplomat spoke. "If we give you clearance, what will you do next?" Jari looked at Eli, who stood nearby, then looked back. "I'll help build what I never had, a place where no one has to hide." Across Earth, on space stations and deep in the colonies, people saw her speech replayed again and again. Not a monster, not a threat. Just a voice, a truth. That night, Eli and Jari walked along a quiet landing platform looking at the stars. She broke the silence. "You stood for me." He nodded. "You stood for me first." She looked at the sky, then said softly, "No one ever watched my face and stayed." Eli smiled gently. "I did." In the shadows, not far away, a news drone hovered silently, capturing one final moment. Jari, once hunted, hated, and hidden, smiling under the same sky as a human who called her friend, sharing the same sky. 3 weeks later, Jari walked through the main corridor of Outpost Haven, a human settlement on the edge of the galaxy. She wore a custom jacket stitched to fit her unusual frame. No weapons, no hood, no fear. People turned to stare, some whispered, some froze, but no one screamed, no one ran, because by now they had seen the video, the one where she shielded a human soldier from fire, the one where she gave mercy when others demanded blood, the one where she said, "If my face scares you, look at his. He wasn't afraid." Eli met her at the north gate near the Solar Gardens. He limped slightly, his injuries healing slower than expected, but he smiled wide when he saw her. "Didn't expect to see you out this early." Jari nodded. "The guard said I could walk freely now." He grinned. "They better. You saved half their station." She looked up at the open dome above them, showing the stars beyond. "So, this is Earth hospitality?" "Close," he chuckled. "It's Earth. In progress." They sat on a bench near a glowing heat lamp tree, designed to grow in space. It hummed quietly as orange leaves drifted around them. Eli looked over. "You okay?" Jari nodded slowly. "Still not used to people looking at me without drawing weapons." "You'll get there." She paused, then asked something she'd been holding in for days. "Do you think I belong here?" Eli didn't answer right away. He leaned back, looked up at the stars, and said, "Jari, you didn't ask to be part of my life. You saved it. You didn't ask to be part of this world, but now you are. Not because we allowed it, because you earned it." She didn't respond, but she didn't look away either. A few minutes passed, then a child approached. Human. Maybe 6 years old. He stared at Jari with wide eyes. Jari tensed slightly, but the boy just asked, "Are you the one from the video?" Eli smiled. "She is." The boy looked at her. "You look cool." Jari blinked. "Cool?" "Yeah, like a dragon, or a superhero." She tilted her head, confused, then slowly smiled. "Thank you." The boy waved and ran off. She turned to Eli. "That was strange. Good strange? Yes. Later that night, in her new living quarters, Jari sat by a small window, watching Earth's moon rise from a distance. She held a data pad. On it was a document. Galactic Civilian Registration, Provisional Resident, Jari of No World. She stared at the name for a long time. Then slowly, she tapped the screen and signed her name. Across the outpost, Eli received a message. He smiled as he read it. I signed it. So I guess I'm part of your world now. He typed back. Correction. Now. You're part of ours. A few days later, a celebration was held. Not for Jari, not for Eli, but for the unity agreement between Earth and 4 outer colonies, including a new group of refugee species. Jari stood quietly at the back of the crowd. She didn't speak. She didn't want to be the center, but Eli found her anyway. He nodded toward the stars above. Funny, he said. We crashed down on a frozen planet. Now we're standing here, under the same sky. She looked at him. I never thought anyone would share it with me. Eli smiled. You're not just sharing it, you're helping shape it. As music played and people danced, Jari and Eli stood side by side. No fear, no masks, just 2 souls who met in the cold and found warmth in each other. The galaxy kept spinning. Warships still moved. Borders still shifted. But somewhere, on the away edge of everything, there was a station where a human and an alien could sit on a bench, look up, and whisper the same words. We made it. Together.